Hello, Nanny Carrot here. I thought it might be nice to do a video showing you around the veg patch. So I recorded a video of me walking around the veg patch, showing you everything that was there. It went on for half an hour and it was so boring. So I thought instead of doing that, I'd do a little bit of maybe the more interesting of vegetables, so that when I have to watch it, I'm not really so bored that I can't handle it anymore. Let's start by talking about the veg patch is behind the fencing to keep the chickens out. Not that I mind them necessarily wandering around everywhere, but they tend to prefer to eat things when they're planted. So if I gave them, say, Brussels sprout or kale leaves, like chickens are meant to do, they turn their nose up at it, or turn their beak up at it rather. So that's why they're kept out. They don't do the nice things that you'd hope that chickens would do, like eat the slugs and snails and caterpillars. They don't like those at all, and I don't really blame them. So let's start by having a quick look at the more interesting things. This is really interesting. This is called Mexican tree spinach, I think. Um, and it grows very tall, and slugs and snails don't eat it, which is really good. Now, you're meant to be able to eat it in salads if you want, those top leaves, but I find because it's in the fat hen family, it feels a bit furry underneath. Don't really like that in salad, but it is nice cooked as a spinach veg. Now, my plan is to let it go to seed and hope that it seeds here, though it is an annual, and I won't have to sow the seeds again next year. The less amount of compost bags I have to buy, the better or the happier I'll be. And then we've got another perennial in here, if we can get round there. Now that's called cottager's kale, and that's a perennial kale. I might have got a little bit muddled there because they look a bit different, but maybe they're not. Maybe it's just the positioning of them. At the back there, that's a perennial broccoli. And so I'm going to see what happens. When I say perennial, they live for about 5 years, which is more than a biennial, which is normal cabbage is a biennial. It will go to seed in its second year. So I'm going to give those a trial and see how that works. But it's certainly got plenty of kale leaves on it already. We haven't tried it yet. Here we have kaleettes. I've had to take the netting off because, as you can see, they've grown out of the frame that I had here, keeping the birds and the butterflies off of them. So I'm not keeping the butterflies off at the moment, but if the butterflies lay eggs and they have caterpillars just on the leaves, it doesn't matter too much because the kaleettes come out of the stalk, a bit like little Brussels sprouts. They're also called flower sprouts, and they're absolutely delicious. Not something you see in the shops very often. I understand that you get more of them now, but you didn't at one point. And underneath, if I can just show you, I have beetroot growing. And at this end, Brussels sprouts. Yes, I know. I said more interesting things, didn't I? And everybody knows what a Brussels sprout is. So we'll move on swiftly. Oops, a daisy. That wasn't meant to happen. Out you go, girls. Go on, out you go. Go on. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Now the sweet corn here, I know it's not an unusual plant, but it has been an unusual year in that the plants that I sowed indoors in the propagator didn't germinate, or the seeds rather that I sowed in the propagator, and then I sowed another lot out here when the weather was warmer. They did nothing whatsoever, so I had to buy in some plants, and they seem to be doing all right, even though they were rather late. I haven't had much luck over the years with sweet corn, growing them, that is. But once you get a really fresh sweet corn and eat it a few minutes after it's been picked, oh boy, is it worth it. Because they are so sweet, nothing like you would taste if you bought them in the shops. And French beans are an amazing crop. These ones have their beans up high, which makes them much easier to get rather than scrabbling around on the floor looking for beans in the rain. And they give you so much food, unbelievable. And they freeze well, just a minute or so blanching in boiling water, and then you cool them off and leave them in the freezer, and it's wonderful. Up here something strange has been going on because the kales, this kind of kale, has been rotting off in the middle, and it goes really horrible and smelly, and this bed has been full of it. Some are surviving, but I don't know whether they will. I've grown a cover crop of mustard in there, which I'd read helps to purify the soil a bit if it is a problem with the soil. But it's also over here. Right, they go very stinky in the middle. And then I have to pull them out. But strangely enough, the Cavolo Nero, which is also a kale, doesn't seem to have the same problem. Over here we have leeks in a little bed of their own. That's been a problem as well this year, because earlier in the year when I planted them, the blackbirds came and pulled every single one up, which in the end I found wasn't very funny. So I covered them all over, and I've managed to finally get some by yet again having to buy plants in, because the ones I've grown from seeds are all gone. You have to have looked the next morning if you've just planted things like leeks, and make sure they're still there and pop them back quick if they're not, and I wasn't quite that vigilant. A few Brussels sprout plants at the back there, which the chickens are having a lovely time picking at as the bits that grow through the fence, but that's fine. There's plenty for all, really. Alice is having a bath. Lola, the stinky chicken, is watching her. What did you say, Alice? You're having a bath? Lola did have a bath yesterday, though, and she's not too keen on bathing too often. So if there was anything there that you'd rather see a little bit more of, or you'd like me to focus on for another video, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Hope I haven't bored you. Bye from me for now.